What happens when a single sentence, spoken live, unscripted, and deliberate, reverberates across capitals, currencies, and conflict zones? On a night thick with tension, Donald Trump stepped before cameras and delivered a message that was neither accidental nor casual. It was brief. It was sharp. And it carried consequences far beyond the room in which it was spoken. Markets paused. Diplomats recalculated. Protesters listened. And governments, some friendly, some hostile, read between every word. This was not a campaign rally. This was not a policy paper. This was a warning. Tonight, we examine Trump's stunning live announcement, why it landed with such force, and the deeper question it leaves behind. Was this a moment of deterrence, or the opening line of a much larger confrontation? To understand why this announcement mattered, we have to step back, not to a single day, but to a pattern. Donald Trump has always treated the microphone as a weapon. Where other leaders rely on carefully drafted statements, Trump has favored immediacy, speaking directly to the public, live, often bypassing traditional diplomatic filters. This style has defined his political identity, but it has also reshaped how global actors respond to American power. During his presidency, Trump blurred the line between rhetoric and action. Tweets moved markets. Offhand remarks shifted alliances. And adversaries learned that silence from Trump could be more dangerous than noise. At the same time, the world itself has grown more unstable. Economic pressure, regional conflicts, mass protests driven by inflation, sanctions, and political fatigue. In several parts of the world, governments are struggling to maintain control as public anger spills into the streets. And historically, moments of internal unrest have often attracted external influence, real or perceived. For Trump, these moments have always presented an opportunity. He has long argued that American restraint invites chaos, while American unpredictability enforces order. Critics call this reckless. Supporters call it strength. And that tension, between restraint and dominance, forms the backdrop to this story. Because when Trump went live, he wasn't speaking into a vacuum. He was speaking into a world already leaning forward. The announcement came without dramatic build-up. No sweeping introduction. No formal address. Just Trump, the camera, and a statement that immediately changed the temperature of the room. He addressed unrest abroad. He addressed violence in the streets. And then came the line that froze headlines in place. A declaration that the United States was watching closely, prepared to respond, and unwilling to tolerate what he framed as brutal suppression or hostile escalation. The phrasing mattered. It wasn't a policy announcement, but it wasn't casual commentary either. It was a signal. Trump framed the situation as a moral test and a strategic one. He drew a line between legitimate grievances and what he described as chaos engineered by hostile forces. And then he did what Trump has always done best. He personalized it. By invoking American strength, readiness, and consequence, he made it clear that this was no longer just a regional issue. It was now part of a broader contest over power, influence, and credibility. Why was this moment different? Because it was live. Because it was direct. And because it arrived at a moment when global tensions were already stretched thin. In diplomatic terms, ambiguity can be stabilizing. Trump erased ambiguity in seconds. The reaction was immediate and divided. Official responses came first. Foreign governments condemned what they called interference, accusing Trump of inflaming unrest and violating sovereignty. State media pushed narratives of external manipulation, warning citizens against foreign deception. Allies responded more cautiously. Some echoed concerns about human rights. Others quietly worried about escalation, about what happens when words spoken live begin to box leaders into corners. Then came the public reaction. Supporters hailed the announcement as leadership, clear, unapologetic, and morally decisive. They saw it as proof that Trump still understood the language of power in a world that respects force more than diplomacy. Critics saw danger. They warned that live statements like this can outpace institutions, corner adversaries, and create expectations that demand follow-through, whether the country is ready or not. On the ground, the impact was more subtle, but no less real. Protesters repeated the words among themselves. Some felt emboldened. Others feared retaliation. In volatile environments, perception can be as powerful as policy. Media coverage fractured along familiar lines. Some outlets framed the announcement as a warning meant to deter violence. Others framed it as provocation, fuel poured onto an already burning fire. But behind the noise, one reality stood firm. Trump had successfully reclaimed the center of the conversation. Once again, global events were being interpreted through his voice. The stakes extend far beyond a single announcement. At the national level, this moment reopens a fundamental debate about American leadership. Should power be projected loudly or quietly? Should warnings be delivered live or behind closed doors? At the regional level, Trump's words risk shifting calculations. Governments facing unrest may harden their stance. Protest movements may push further. Miscalculation becomes more likely when rhetoric escalates faster than diplomacy. Globally, the implications ripple outward. Markets respond to uncertainty. Alliances test their limits. Adversaries reassess red lines. And beneath it all lies a deeper risk: normalization. When dramatic warnings become routine, each new statement must go further to have the same effect. Escalation becomes incremental and harder to reverse. This is the paradox of Trump's power. His words command attention, but attention demands consequence. So where does this lead? One path points toward restraint, where the announcement stands as a warning, not a promise, and cooler calculations prevail. Another path leads toward escalation, where words spoken live demand action, and silence becomes impossible. And then there is the most dangerous path of all: misinterpretation. History has shown us that conflicts rarely begin with declarations of war. They begin with statements, signals, warnings that were meant to prevent action, but instead accelerated it. As the cameras switch off and the headlines fade, the question remains: was this announcement the closing chapter of a crisis, or the opening line of the next one? Because in a world listening closely, every word still echoes. Now I will ask you 5 questions. 1. Was Trump's live announcement a strategic deterrent or a reckless provocation? 2. Should world leaders speak this openly during active unrest, or does it increase danger? 3. Can words alone still shape global behavior in today's fractured world? 4. Does unpredictability strengthen leadership or undermine stability? 5. If rhetoric demands action, where should the line be drawn?